when Bill went to be with Jesus. And I have to say this because it's such a moving testimony. All of his family was there, all of our children, and we were surrounding him. And my son-in-law, who was in a mountain bike accident, who was in a wheelchair, was reading Psalm 23 to him. And when he gets to the part, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, a tear comes down his eye, and he takes his last breath. And so then I was like, so what's appropriate for this moment, this holy moment? And so I went and rang the bell. And just that was his going from the boat to the dock, to the life after life.
I won't lose hope in the night when the fire's glowing dim. I'll just let go and I'll try. Help me walk this road and find my way back home. Find my way back home. Find my way home.
Welcome back to the Famous at Home podcast. We are in a series called The People Who Shape Us. And I am so delighted to have my dear friend, Laurie Lokey, which a lot of you have heard her before on the Famous at Home podcast.
Oh, man, I'm so grateful to be here.
I basically sat you down in front of a microphone. I was like, we're going to talk, okay?
Yeah, I'm all in. Anything that Christi and Josh do, I'm all in.
You have been, so we'll tell a little bit of the backstory, okay? So people know if you're a new name or face. So we met, well, actually Josh met you and Bill.
Yes.
Do we know how many years ago that was?
How many years ago? That
I don't know.
been, I don't know either.
Like
I can't keep up with years anymore.
16,
I'm too old. Yeah.
Josh is in the background over here. Do you have Josh has a memory like a chronological 18.
Okay.
2018.
Wow, that was right before Bill's cancer, or he was starting his diagnosis. Okay. Wow.
So,
God knew, didn't he?
God knew.
Yeah.
So Bill and Laurie were in, well, you say a little bit about your background, like where you've come, like in the world. Do you want me to tell you how I introduced you to people? I'm like, oh, this is Laurie. She's like world renowned.
Oh,
I mean, in literally like the top trauma and healing. Oh gosh.
I feel like I'm going to crawl under my chair.
No,
right
you're
now.
not. No, you're not. You're going to receive it. You taught me how to do this.
Okay.
Where you receive, I
receive
these words.
Yeah.
She and Bill have worked in the field of counseling.
Yes.
For a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of your best work is like actually still to come.
Wow. Well, I'm excited then.
Yeah, because you've done some real good stuff.
There's some that's exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, I really do.
I feel like every year, Bill and I would just grow and learn and grow and learn. And then we learned from our own broken stories and our own brokenness, what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell the story. So I met Josh at WindShape.
Yeah.
Bill and I did. And then, you do that little short, small talk. Oh, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Where are you from? And he goes, Spring Hill. And I'm like, oh, well, that's where we're from. Where do you live? And then he goes, oh, across the street from where you live, like the neighborhood across the street from where you live.
We ended up living, what, a mile?
About a mile apart.
It was
a mile apart, and we didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was just such a God gift.
And we'd heard of you guys, like, because you, at that time, you were working at a larger, were you, or was it just Bill?
No, I think Bill still was. He was,
okay.
He was working at a larger place, but I was working on
Yeah.
my own, and then he and I were just starting to do intensives together, marriage
Mostly
intensives.
marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think marriage is I want to say your sweet spot, but I truly believe what you're moving into now is going to be like the sweetest spot.
I cannot wait.
I know.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We're here to talk about it today.
That's right.
But Laurie, so Laurie and Bill, just this incredible ministry work with the healing of hurting people, which I think all of us are now putting up our hands. Like, I count myself among that. I hope we do anyway. Like, I hope we
Yeah.
have the humility to be like,
to
yeah,
be able
that's
to
literally
say,
all of us.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And so Josh met them. I stayed home. So I was home with the kids. And then he comes back. He's like, I met Bill and Laurie Lokey. They live literally in the neighborhood across the street. And I was like, what? And so I just remember Josh and Bill going to coffee. Like, and they would get together and stuff. But like, there was one specific day they went and met for coffee. And do you remember what you said?
Yes. Because I was like, don't come home until y'all got a plan.
Literally, do not return to this house until you have a plan. And their plan was like Josh and Bill and Laurie, like guys would get these phone calls all the time of people who have walked through really hard things. They've walked through devastation, and there's been moral failures, or there's been just really hard stuff that people walk through. And a lot of them leaders, a lot of them on public platforms. And I know your heart was just this, like, how do we get this before it gets to this place? Like, how do we help before? And so they did come home with a plan.
They did.
And man, that plan was awesome.
It was awesome.
It's what we called Leader's Heart. And it became, Josh and Bill started it with men. They brought in men who lead on whatever, in whatever way that is. And they would do these incredible experiential workshops.
Yeah.
And then they journeyed with them month through month, and then they get together again in person. And it was incredible.
And I think, in some of those workshops, the men had to see, because Bill was declining. He had cancer.
Yeah.
And they had to see him show up in pain, show up in the hard places of life, and still want to give of himself and to love on them and to say, my life is not my own. And my cancer is going to be for God's glory. It is my calling.
Yeah.
And to show them how to live from life to life.
And I want to make sure we put in the show notes too, because the last time, which we said this right before we started recording, the last time we all did a podcast together was in your living room.
Yeah.
Was it a week and a half?
It was like 10 days.
10 days, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Before Bill went to be with Jesus. And I, that was so sacred. That was so holy. It was so special to hear his, like, he took his last bits of energy and he wanted to share hope and life, and what a gift he was.
Right.
And we miss him, and we know he's listening right now.
And we do. We know he's praying for us.
I know.
He's like, hey, Jesus, see them down there? Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Send more angels. They need them.
send more.
Those girls, they need them.
Yeah. It was a sacred time. I would just say we were together as the night before as a family. Y'all had brought the kids over, and Bill was starting to speak some of the things that God was putting on his heart to share. And Josh said, hey, hang on. Can you hold that? Can we do this on a podcast? Which was perfect. And then y'all showed up with the whole setup, and I just love it. His life and the way that he lived taught me how to live.
Yeah. Girl,
taught me how to live.
It.
Taught me how to live.
I remember the two of you, and the pain was really, really extreme. near the end, and I just remember the two of you sitting. We live in Tennessee, so we get like flakes of snow. Okay, like when this is not feet of snow, but there was like enough covering, and you guys are tobogganing down the back of your like on your lawn, and like that was Bill, and like and
Yes.
you. It was the two of you together. There was
Yeah.
this like. You know the word effervescence, which has been a word I keep hearing lately, but like this bubbly, childlike energy that comes from actually suffering, that comes from literally going to the pit, like the bottom. And I
Right.
think I kind of want to touch on some of this today because I have said this so many times before, like you find someone who has suffered greatly and you sit at their feet and you glean from them because they are the ones that hold treasures that you cannot find on your own. And that's what you've done. That's what you and Bill have done. And you now, in a lot of ways, like left behind.
No one to sled with me.
No one to sled with. I mean, I will go with you. You know that.
Okay.
But
Oh, good. Yay.
remember when we were biking? Remember? We were at this thing and everyone's like big and serious and doing all their important stuff. And we're like, let's go on a bike ride.
Bike ride. And we had the best time.
We had the best time.
And so
That's so.
as long as I can have people to play with.
I know. And
that's
okay,
good. Yeah.
let me just circle back because we talked about Leader's Heart. So the
Right.
boys started theirs and it was phenomenal. Like it was fire. Like,
Yes.
and we were like, we have to do one for the
Can do
women.
this.
Yeah, we have to. And women were wanting one.
And what a special group of women.
Oh
Yeah. I just cherish that. I saw a picture of them recently on and I was like, oh, what a special time.
it was so special.
And this girl here, she kept us up to, I mean, like I'm old. She kept us up to 2 a.m. praying for each one of these
That was-
women. We
You
were like,
can't
okay.
it just that was
We were gonna knock down these walls.
and
We did.
The Lord
Lord did.
came
Jesus
and it
did.
was like whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
That was powerful. But you know what? Like, and I kind of want to talk about that because here we are both coming out of counseling backgrounds, like training, like that's how we were
Right.
taught, right? And that keeps it within a certain box, and that's fine. I mean, there's so much beauty. Like we love the field. I love what it does. And yet I think both of us felt this call out towards something different, and it felt wild and it felt uncomfortable. And it was like, God, are you actually leading us to do this new thing that it's not, to my knowledge, it's not been done before. I've not seen it done. And you, ma'am, were the one who I just remember you being like, Christi, like you have what it takes.
Yes. She does. She has what it takes. She's amazing.
You're my cheerleader, and but you need it. I needed you. I needed you so much in that season because I was so stuck in my own head of like, but this, you know, it's supposed to be this way, or I'd be like, you lead it, you do it, you take the mic, you lead it, and you would be like, okay, I'll do my part, and then you do your part, and it was this like continual pushing in the most beautiful way.
But we were with each other.
Yeah,
Which is what life is to be. It's just like to see the gifts
so good.
in the other person. And then we honor them.
Yeah,
And then we're with each other to bring the healing.
yeah.
So that it's not my show. It's not your show. It's
Right.
just like God.
It was
It's
the God
his.
show. It
It
was
was-
actually
it was
the
his-
God show.
it was his
not
show.
our show.
And he used us. We just showed up. You know?
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. And you're right, though. It was we got to do it with one another.
Yeah.
And the very fact that it was a group. We did it in a group because there's so much power in withness. Like
Yeah.
do we transform and heal individually? Yeah, but we actually heal in relationship.
Right. Because we're hurt and wounded in relationship and we're healed in relationship.
Yep.
And so what
You always taught me that.
Yeah. What we want is to be a vessel of healing
Yeah.
for his kingdom.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think I want to circle to like where is sort of where we've been
Mm-hmm.
and how we've walked to this point. And we would get together. Let's say this too. Like we get together and just pray.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And it
yeah.
was like we had no
Mm-mm.
we didn't know what God was doing. Obviously, like Bill and Laurie are walking through the depths of suffering and grief and loss and fear, but no fear. Like just this.
Well, there were times I was afraid, and it's the same thing. There's times that I weep and wail when
Yeah.
I miss him, but what I do have is the presence of God that comes in
Yeah.
to, I love you perfectly, which cast out fear. I'm with
Mm.
you in the places of your grief and loss,
Mm.
and a peace that passes understanding.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to do life without him
Yeah.
being with me
Yeah.
too.
Talk about that a little bit because I really feel the Lord has brought you into a new, I mean, really a revelation of understanding withness with God, if we can use that word.
Yeah.
And you have a different
Uh-huh.
word for it,
Well,
but
witness and oneness.
oneness. Yeah.
Um, I it was during COVID, and I just kept on seeing the number 714 everywhere.
Mm.
714, 714. So I finally asked a person who I know's, prays a lot, and I said, "What's 714?" She's like, "Laurie, that's Isaiah 714, which is Emmanuel,
Mm.
God with us." And so, and Bill's suffering with cancer, and all this is happening. And then I'm like, so if I live this way, knowing that God is with us, and I feel like I just keep on growing in that. If God is with us, then we ought to be with one another. And
Mm.
so when Bill and I went to this like marriage retreat, what we um, what we decided is that we were going to be married to Christ, so that we were married to Christ, which made us with
Mhm.
each other, which is kind of the same way I feel now, that
Mhm.
that marriage to Christ, and then we're still with. And so then the power of watching people like you guys in this cancer journey, in this suffering, to show up and give us space to
Mm.
have our hurt, our tears, our anger, but to hold the space to be with us,
Mhm.
to say, we want to be with you. Your pain is not too much for us.
Mm.
There are people that we uh, were with that the pain was too much for them. They didn't have capacity to handle the suffering. And so it was like, no. Um, but y'all had capacity to hold the space, which then just continued to help me understand, as I've grown in this, the rest that God offers.
Oof.
The rest, like rest,
Mhm.
rest.
Mhm.
Even though we're here
Mhm.
I drove,
Mhm.
I got here, um, I rest in Him
Yeah.
to enter in to do the work that I can't do. It's not up to me. It's not my power. It's not my strength. It's Him in me working in and through us. And so what I love, Christy, is that you have such a like heart,
Mhm.
like-minded heart.
Mm.
It's not you that wants to show up. You represent Christ in
Mm.
you. So then we rest in that. We rest in the work that He's doing in and through us. So we don't have to strive. It's like cease striving. Know that He is God. And in the cancer journey, He did teach me that. Like you know, there was a time I had cease striving, know that I'm God in my bathroom. Well, He just brought that sign out to me,
Mm.
because we were trying to get a certain treatment to
Mm.
happen. One hospital said, no, we're not going to give it to him anymore. And so I'm praying, and I'm doing an intensive upstairs. Bill's downstairs in the bed. All of a sudden, I get this movement of the Spirit to say, go downstairs
Mm.
in the middle of this intensive. And I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me. I need to go downstairs. And so I go downstairs, and he's getting a phone call from a doctor in Athens, Georgia, that says, I would be willing to give you this treatment if you can get here by the morning. Well, by God's grace, the people I was doing it with, they were very gracious and kind. And they said, sure. This is more important.
Mm.
And I left, I guess we left at midnight that night and drove to Athens, Georgia. Got his blood work that morning, got the treatment, which actually I believed helped him to not have as much pain as he would have had in the process. And so, again, I've had these moments of suffering
Yeah.
that have taught me, okay, well, then I rest.
Mm-hmm.
I rest in Him. I rest in, I mean, it almost, even in the driving down there to, I'm going through Atlanta. I've got to get over 5 lanes. The, the pathway just opened, the pathway opened to get over 5 lanes. It was the resting, it was the guiding
Mm-hmm.
of His Spirit to get me there.
Which is so counter to everything the human natural mind, body, soul wants to do. Like
Right. Well, it's up to me. I got to drive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the striving, like you're
Mhm.
talking, and talk a little bit about what that rest, like how does one who they're listening to this and they're like, I want that. How do I get there? Like, how do I exchange the way I currently live for that?
Oh, there's a lot of releasing that goes in. So it's
Yeah.
not that do this perfectly. I get anxious. I get
Yeah.
worried.
Hmm.
I'm in transition right now. I've got to move. I've got a
You
barn.
really are.
I've got a barn full of furniture that has spiders in it and dirt in it that I got to clean. And and so if I look at that, I will overwhelm myself. Or I can go, what do I need to do today, God? I'm going to release my schedule.
Ooh.
When I need
good.
when I need to move, what I need to move, how this is going to work, what it's going to look like. I'm going to release it to you, and I don't have to carry it. So if I release it and I'm not carrying the burden of it, then I just step into, okay, so I'll move those things, and then I can feel in my body that's enough. You don't need to do anymore, and then I stop, and then I go. And that doesn't mean I'm not extremely tired some days at the end of the day, like moving things, but it's from a place of, okay, this is the day, and I'm going to rest in it. I'm going to rest in what you're leading me to do.
Yes. When do you know it's been enough?
I just uh, it was like yesterday. I had a certain amount of things to move over to the new place, and I have a bit of a cold, and I just felt Him go, that's enough. You don't need to do anymore. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of people over to move, and He was like, no, you need to get some movers. It was just more of just being able to go, okay. So I call them. Can you do it this day? Because I couldn't do. One time I had called them the day before. They couldn't do it till the end of the month. And so when I'm on the phone with her, she goes, well, I don't think we have a day. I said, well, I think you said something about the 6th of May. Now, if anybody wants to come help me move on the 6th of May, you're welcome to come. And they said, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, we can do that. And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's that peace that passes understanding, but it takes me releasing, it takes me noticing when I'm getting anxious, when
Yeah.
I'm overwhelming myself, when I'm taking on the burden, to be able to go, wait a minute.
That's it.
Yeah, I got to slow this down, and I got to go, okay, what's happening? Because my body is as tight as a knot right now.
Yes.
And I need to release some things.
And so many people live that way all the time. Right? Like we live in this constant state of it's guarding, right? Where the body's actually guarding. It's on guard because it's bracing for this like continual threat that's coming.
Right.
But it's so hard, I think, for you to notice the grace or the space for grace. I almost feel like it's like an opening of a door or a window where it's like, oh, there's an invitation into grace. But I am so used to this familiar way of carrying my heavy backpack and trudging on through that I miss it. Like I don't even notice it. And I think you've taught me so much about living in a way that's it's surrendered, but it's honest. Like it's an authentic, honest way of living where I'm able to say like it's too much or this feels heavy.
Right.
I don't have it all together.
Mm-mm. No.
I think, there's
Mhm.
I think we can go to the little parts, like where these little parts of
Yeah.
us get triggered because
Mhm.
Laurie has taught me so much about little Christi and the little girl parts that get so hurting.
Mhm.
They hurt.
They do. I have a little Laurie that hurts inside of me too.
Yeah.
If she gets afraid of rejection,
Yeah.
she gets hurt. And
Yeah.
I have to bring her to Jesus and we have a talk
Yeah.
and just to be able to go, are we going to be okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's
We'll be
can we
okay.
dive in there for a second?
Okay,
Because you've
let's
taught
do
me
it.
so much about that.
Okay.
I'll bring her
Mhm.
stuff. I'll be like, I was really, this happened and I felt so threatened. You'll know. Well, I'll let you say this.
Okay.
How do you know when a little part of you has been triggered? Like when I say those words, even like, what is that?
Mhm.
How might someone be like, oh, it's not the mature adult Laurie and
Driving the
Christie's
bus.
driving the bus,
Yeah.
right? How would you know?
I disconnect from myself.
Mm,
I'm not resting anymore.
mm,
I'm disconnected. I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
mhm,
I'll figure it out, or I'll be in my fear place, or I'll notice that I start giving people power to
mm.
vote on me instead of just going, okay,
Ooh.
am I okay?
Yeah.
And and it can be scary I always say to surrender is serenity. But sometimes surrender is painful
Mhm,
to let go of what we want our life to be.
mhm.
Um, but when I disconnect from myself, then I'm not in a place of rest.
Yeah.
I'm not grounded. I'm not in. I had to go through a period of time where I just said to myself over and over again, Christ is the person who gets to vote on me. My identity
Yeah.
is in Him.
I've never
You
heard you
know?
say that. Who gets to vote on me?
Yeah, Christ is the one who says who I am and whose I am.
Isn't that real though? We do. We
Mhm.
give other people a vote on us
Right.
as if that
Mhm.
carries weight, but
Right.
only if we give it to them.
Right. So
Whoa.
I'm defined by Christ. I'm defined by Him.
Yeah.
So that's my mantra. And if I feel fear around that person, because
Mm,
I can, I have to come back to no, I'm defined by Christ. He is the person who says who I am and whose I am, and I can rest in that. And not everybody's going to like me,
mhm,
and that's okay,
mhm.
because
It's a hard truth to come up against, is it
yeah,
not?
it is. And so when I get rejected and somebody's
Mhm.
mean or not
Yeah.
nice, then that little girl comes out and inside of me is like, oh, what did I do?
Yes.
And I have to then I disconnect
Yeah.
from myself and I have to
So, and that
reconnect
little
in
girl,
Him.
would you say like
Mhm.
it comes out at the age that it was first hurt?
Oh, I've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've had a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old. Uh,
And when people
a
hear that, like you literally can just ask, like,
right, because I
you
have
know?
places in my story where the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy,
Yep.
to take away from who God originally planned for me to be and the
Yeah.
fullness. Um, because we're in this fallen world, and I have places in my story that I can remember. Oh, well, that's when that happened.
Mhm.
And of course, when that happens, a child doesn't understand
Yeah.
why that's happening.
Right.
And so they usually take it on that it's their fault. It belongs to them. And then they disconnect. And then they learn that strategy of protection, of disconnection. And then the
Mhm.
brain learns that strategy of protection to disconnect. And it goes in a nanosecond
Mhm.
because that part of the brain only it doesn't have any sense of time or language. It only has sensation. So if somebody
That's it.
looks at me in a critical way, my brain's going to go, oh, okay, I just got rejected, nanosecond. And
Yeah.
then that's why you slow it down and I catch it, challenge it, change it to find out, well, what's going on with me right now? And am I going to be okay? Can I tell the a story? With
Tell
Bill
a
and I?
story, yeah.
Okay. So this is an embarrassing story
The best
for me.
kind.
For me, okay. So Bill and I were mountain biking, and it's actually
I think I know this
it's
story.
actually right across the street from your house.
Uh-huh.
And these youngsters had changed the trail a bit, and it was more technical. And we would get off, and we would walk those places, and then we'd get back on because it was past our ability. So we get on this.
Most of those are past my ability.
We get back on, and it's this loop de loop. It goes up and then down and then up and then down and up and down. And so I look on either side, and I'm like, if I fall off, I'm going to die. And I get to the bottom. Now, here's my background. My dad would take us on these kind of terrifying trips, like the Chattooga River when it was rain swollen in an inner tube with a life belt on, or a sailboat after a hurricane.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
my brain has gone into La La Land, which my grandma name is La La. So anyway,
Yeah.
La La Land. And Bill's like, no, 20 feet ahead of me. And he had stopped, and I yell, "You left me." And he's like, "No, I didn't." He's staying very present in his prefrontal lobe. I didn't. I'm right here. And I'm like, "Yes, you did. You left me." And in my brain, it felt true.
Yes.
Because that's what it does. It feels absolutely true.
Yes.
And so what Bill and I've learned as a spiritual mathematics is what it's saying is that we have to slow it down and go, okay. So I get next to him, and here's the thing that my brain goes. Here's my strategy. I'll ride this trail I'm not saying this out loud, but I'm thinking it in my head. I'll ride this trail by myself, and I'll just see you at the car. I don't need anybody. And, and so
And this is such a great example of all these pieces, because the protective strategy, like those things come out and they're sarcastic or independent or like they're very, this is where
opposite of with and
yeah,
rest.
yeah. Because they're protective. They're trying whatever they can to protect you.
So then I thought,
so sassy, independent Laurie comes out.
And then I was like, wait a minute, this is familiar.
Aww.
This is what I do. So, and then here's the last part of it. And then I thought, okay, and if I get to the car, I'll have to put the bike on the bike rack by myself because Bill would do that for me. And then we'll get in the car and we won't talk to each other, and I'll be miserable the rest of the afternoon. So slow it down. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I had to slow it down, and he's just standing there not knowing all this is going through my head.
Or knowing.
Or maybe
she's
knowing.
Working through something right now.
Maybe he's praying really hard because he would do that. And I finally got to the place of truth, the vulnerable truth. And I said, I was terrified.
Yeah.
And he said, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I will walk with you as long as you need to walk, and we'll get on when you need to get on. But I'm with you. And so there's the correction. There's the spiritual mathematics. There's the correction from someone who had to do it on her own, where my mom and I were walking out the woods in North Georgia off the Chattooga River by ourselves. Like the correction of, here's somebody who's saying, I'm not leaving you. And you're scared and you're terrified. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even going to judge you for saying you left me. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to get hooked into that. I'm going to stand here with you, good. And I'm going to walk with you. And it was just beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like my brain has changed.
Yeah,
like it's changed. There was a flip that happened in that moment. Wow, that was just so good.
And that's it. Like you can call them a disconfirming experience or whatever, but this is exactly the thing that rewires the brain in a place where it was wounded with truth and relationship. And usually it is in relationship. And so it's terrifying because you have to go into a similar feeling situation in order to have the disconfirming experience or even be, open to it. And then it happens and it's this beautiful healing oil that comes through.
Yeah.
and touches like the deep places. So you said, okay, so you said slow it down. So okay, for people who are like, we get in situations like this, a little part of me gets triggered. I know because I feel immature. I feel like you're very aware their reaction is much bigger than the situation calls for, even though we're still reacting in that way, but like there's something in us deep that knows like this feels old.
Yes.
This feels familiar.
Right.
This feels dramatic.
Yes.
So slow it down. How do we slow it down?
You know, one more step probably is to understand what we do when we react. I think that's our first step. What do we do when we react? Because we normalize our reactions. By the time we've gone through our childhood and then we've learned strategies of protection and learned how to disconnect ourselves, we think that's who we are.
Yes.
And
we call it our personality.
Yeah, we
even.
call it, that's who we are.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's not who we are.
Yeah.
And so that's the humility of being able to say to God, search me, know me, see the ways that are in me that are not of you. They're not pleasing to you. And so that hurts to see sometimes my strategies or my parts of self that I'm like, ooh, that's driving the bus.
Yes.
And whenever a strategy or a part, I'm saying parts too, because people call them different things, then we are protecting our hearts. And then there's no connection there because now you can't see me. And we're really talking to each other from the head up.
Yes.
And I don't want you to see my heart because if you see my heart, you might reject it.
Yep.
And so our first step is having awareness, learning how do I protect my heart? What do I do that is keeping myself protected? Because that's basically saying, God, I don't trust you to take care of me.
Yes.
I don't trust you that you love me.
Yeah.
I don't trust you that you're going to be here with me. And so that's step one. And then it's learning when we have the awareness. The only way I could have gone through all that in my head is I had the awareness of my strategies to be able to slow it down and go, okay, wait a minute, this is what my brain does. This is how I protect. I don't have needs. I'm on my own. To slow it down and then to be able to go, oh, okay, well, this is obviously a place that's not going to give me what I want. And now I've had the ability with Bill.
Okay, wait, that's powerful though, what you just said. This isn't going to get me what I want.
That's right.
Because I think we still operate with this lie that this way of protecting me is somehow going to get the end result that I want.
Yeah, and it never does.
It doesn't.
It never does. And so we, a husband and wife stay in this ring.
Yep.
Back and forth. It's like a tug of war. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. But Bill dropped the rope.
Yeah.
He didn't tug. He didn't pick up the rope. He dropped it and he was with me. And I
love how you said he didn't get hooked in.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
You like get hooked into think about even with kids, right? Like their amygdala goes off and they're flipping out. I mean, it hooks us in and we just go along for the crazy ride.
Right. And then nothing,
yes.
it never works.
Right. Right.
And so because connection doesn't happen when we're protecting our hearts.
Yeah.
Connection happens when he dropped the rope and he said, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm with you.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where healing happens. That's why I believe that, Bill and I loved you and Josh so much is that healing happened because you were with us.
Yeah.
You didn't leave us. You loved us. You supported us. You prayed for us. Josh let Bill come when he was, in so much pain and having to, lay on the bed half the time and, come up. But it was, his presence was still honored.
Oh, goodness. His presence that they did 1 liter's heart and Bill was, I think he said 10 out of 10 pain.
Yeah,
like
he was
it was
10 out of 10. Yeah.
And they had to lay him on like some pillows. And I just remember, do you remember when you came in the room and he had this smile on his face? Do you remember this? And and Laurie just says, you're with Jesus right now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah. And I think that time they were running through a field together,
Yeah.
weren't they?
Yeah.
And Jesus said to him, you want to race?
I'm so glad you're saying that because that's so funny. Because I was in Colorado leading a training, and I was for the first time having to walk by myself on the trail where Bill and I would walk or on the trails,
Mm.
and I felt his presence come. It was amazing, and he
Oh,
was like, "Hey, watch this." And I'm like, "Okay," and he would run ahead of me and come back. And I said, "Well, where's Jesus?" He's like, "He's right here." And then they would run ahead and come back, and I was just laughing. People probably thought I was crazy walking on the trail, just laughing out loud. But it was just such a joyous,
oh
experience
my
of like,
word.
because I would have to walk ahead of him and come back. And
Yes.
then he was like, "Oh,
Watch me.
watch
Watch
me!
me
Like
now.
I can outrun you. I can,
The
It was
joy.
really sweet.
The
Yeah.
joy that's waiting for us.
Uh-huh.
But the joy that's also available now,
Yeah.
right? Like even in
Right.
that, I just remember that day with Bill and
Mhm.
10 out of 10 pain, like
Uh-huh.
just excruciating pain.
Yeah.
And there's this group of men there for leader's heart. And I know that his example of even just being there,
Right.
but also his joy, his
Mhm.
like the things that he was
Mhm.
teaching them through his lived life, like
Mm.
lived out.
Right.
I know because I heard it through their own testimonies and words, like that will never leave them.
Mhm.
I mean, the things, the teachings, like that was all, in so many ways, those are in one ear and out the other. And that watching Bill live those last days
Right.
it was the example. And I
Mhm.
remember him being
Mhm.
just delighted by the smallest things.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you
Mhm.
remember at Christmas where he got this? It was like a snow globe, but like one that you plug in. And so the glitter in the snow globe just like goes all the time.
Yeah.
And he got us one.
He had
And
to-
it's a nativity. So it was like, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus with this glitter that like, and he just,
he loved it.
he loved
He
it.
just like had to have it on all the time,
And he would just
and then he wanted everybody else to have one.
Yes!
To enjoy.
enjoy it. But like,
Uh-huh.
it's like literally his last days, and he's
Mhm.
finding the joy in the smallest things, like the glitter. And he's like exuberant with joy. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like he enjoyed it. It was like exuberant experience of joy. And it was that kind of thing where you're watching an entirely different level of living.
Yes.
And one that causes you to pause. It says it's better to be in a house of mourners.
Mhm.
Like you realize why,
Mhm.
because they live at a different place that
Mhm.
it's like you never want to go back from. Like
No.
it caused all of us, I think, to walk
Mhm.
in such depth of, obviously the frailty of life, the fragility of life, but the suffering, the loss, the like, God, this isn't
The
fair.
hope.
Like, take someone else. I'm just being totally honest. Where you're like,
Yeah.
he has so much to offer. He has walked his funeral was just packed with people because his life impacted so many, and you're like, take someone else. Like, why would you not? We need him. The
Yes.
world needs him.
Right.
So many people need him. And I think, we never have those solid answers until we're home. But I think the Lord's also like, and so do I.
And so do I. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
Because I was arguing with God about,
Yeah.
surrendering. I think we were actually at y'all's church that time, and I felt the call that God was asking me to surrender, and I was arguing with him, and that kind of went on for a couple of weeks, and he was like, "I want him with me," and I'm like, "Okay," and being able to let him go, and to be able to say, and then to feel God's grace. to give to me to be able to let him go. Because what Bill's testimony is to show us how to live life to the fullness of the next life. That's his
Yes.
testimony.
Yes.
The fullness of the next life, where we're not afraid,
Yeah.
where we keep on living to the fullness of the calling to the next life.
Mm-hmm. Tell about the bell.
Oh, okay. So Bill's mom had died in 2010, and we were fresh out of that funeral. And Bill had just some fear around death. And so we had been invited out to Bob and Maria's cabin or lodge out in Canada. And they had put this group of people on this big boat. And of course, in the way that only Bob Goff can do. When we get to the dock, we're about 100 yards out. They have a band playing. This is going to be the best days of our life, and they're dressed in band uniforms.
I love it so much.
Marching up and down the dock, and all of a sudden, I look over at Bill, and he's crying, and he said, "I realized that." That's the way it's going to be in heaven. That when he crosses over from the boat to the dock, that there'll be people there celebrating, rejoicing, playing in the band, saying this is going to be the best day of his life. And it just shifted for him. Now, this is before he was diagnosed with cancer. And so it shifted with him. And then when he was diagnosed, Bob Goff, we were sitting in MD Anderson. We were sitting in the waiting area, and we had just gotten told the news that his cancer was very aggressive and that he was probably going to die. And we were just kind of sitting there like dumbfounded. And then Bob Goff shows up, and he has this bag. And in the bag, he has boxing gloves with our names on it, and he pulls them out and he said, "Hey, these gloves are to fight cancer, not each other." And then he's got this cup, and
I love this.
with a little yellow liquid in it. And he goes, "Yeah." He said there was no stores around, and so I stopped by Burger King. And I asked him for some oil, and they said, "Well, do you want hot or cold?" He said, "Cold, please." And so he's walking through MD Anderson going, "Urine sample," And he goes, I want to anoint you with oil. And so he anoints Bill with Burger King oil and prays for him in the middle of MD Anderson.
As only Bob Goff would do.
So then we're like, it was just like God would put Bill on Bob's heart, and he'd send us a word or whatever. And so we had sent them a bell to honor this chapel that they had on the lodge. And when it came time, Bob and Maria sent us a bell to put on our house that says "From the boat to the dock, life after life." And so we mounted it on the house. And when Bill went to be with Jesus, and I have to say this because it's such a moving testimony. All of his family was there, all of our children, and we were surrounding him. And my son-in-law, who was in a mountain bike accident, who was in a wheelchair, was reading Psalm 23 to him. And when he gets to the part of and I will dwell in the house, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, a tear comes down his eye, and he takes his last breath. And so then I was like, so what's appropriate for this moment, this holy moment? And so I went and rang the bell. And just, that was That was his going from the boat to the dock,
Yeah.
to the life after life. And so my builder, we moved the bell with me, and the builder asked me yesterday, where do you want the bell? So it's funny that you're asking this, because I'm like, I want it right here.
Yeah. I'll never forget
Mhm.
getting that video.
Yeah. And that maybe my grandchildren will ring the bell when
Wow.
I go.
But isn't it such a beautiful,
Mhm.
I mean, what a picture it was
Mhm.
to see it as a celebration, to see it as an arrival, not like it wasn't an ending. It was like
A beginning.
yeah, it's like, you're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
And I really hope there was a band.
Yeah. What?
I would
think
love a band.
I think there were people he was surprised at
Yeah.
that were waiting on
Yeah.
him to meet with him.
Yep.
And
I had no idea
yeah.
that he'd impacted,
Yeah.
especially probably to the depth that he did.
Right. Right. And so now when I hear of people, going to be with Jesus, I'm like, I wonder how long it's going to take Bill to meet him. Or I wonder if he was there
Mm.
waiting to
Welcome.
welcome them home.
How do you feel that the way, and we keep saying Bill, but it was
Mhm.
you and Bill. Like
Mhm.
there was no Laurie and Bill separate. It was Bill and Laurie, Laurie and Bill, Bill and Laurie. Like,
Mhm.
and how do you feel learning to live that way has impacted you now? Like,
Wow.
because you're still like those are the big testimonies, right?
Mhm.
People hear that and they're like, praise God.
Mhm.
What they don't see is you alone,
Right.
still crying in a pillow at night
Right.
sometimes.
Mhm. Right. And then, yeah. And that happens.
Yeah.
That happens when I'm like, oh, Jesus, please come back. Like, Jesus, please come back.
Yeah.
Please come back. I long for you. It's hard. Like to those who
Yeah.
are alone now, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because y- you can't, I can't make my life around my grandchildren or my children. I still have to have my own life.
Right.
I can't become dependent upon them to make me
Yeah.
okay. So I have to continue to go, okay, God, where do you have me next?
Yeah.
Where do you have me next? And then still feel the pain and the longing, and the memories, or looking at photos, or
Yeah.
of just going, that was so good. And then I move into gratitude of like, thank you, God. Thank you for those years that we had together. Thank you. Um, but it is a process.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, thank you, great.
Yeah.
It's like, no, my heart hurts
Yeah.
and I long. And it's hard to, like, thank goodness I had my band of brothers at the Wind Shape retreat. Like Josh was on my right and Joe was on my left, and then this other little guy adopted me. So I was like,
Surrounded.
I was surrounded, and I was like, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And it was provision from God.
Yeah.
It was provision, and it was like God knew that I needed that provision.
Yeah.
It was so neat the way he provided that. Missed you though.
I know.
Like
I
we
didn't
could have
go this
we could have
time.
gone on our bike ride.
I know. I probably wouldn't have attended anything. I would have just been out
Yeah, we've
biking.
been-
We'll just go on another adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of adventure, actually, what's next, do you think?
Well, I keep on having this dream of this oneness workshop, of
Yeah.
just being able to go. How can, like, the things that you and I've talked about today, how can we bring it to people?
Yeah.
And I've got people in mind that are like hearted like you guys, that like, how can we come together and bring this place of rest in the kingdom, and yet still serving him, knowing that he's with us, and for us to be with one another.
Yeah.
And then to be able to look what's in the way of that oneness,
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
then to move forward into that. So I've got that perking. In the
it.
meantime, I am asking him. I've got. It's funny. He wants me to cook again.
Oh,
Yeah, he wants
I
me to
do
have
remember you
people.
saying,
He wants me
okay,
to have people around the table.
yeah, I will be there.
Yeah,
You
and
just
so
get
y'all are gonna.
we'll help
Uh-huh.
bring the furniture in, and then
Yeah,
we'll sit on it.
yeah, yeah. And
And you
sit on it.
can.
So we're So I'm.
Laurie's a great cook.
So he wants me to have people around the table.
Yeah.
In the season of just encouraging one another,
Yeah.
being with one another, sharing with one another, praying with one another. So I don't know exactly how that looks, but I'm like, okay,
We'll be there.
yeah, yeah, y'all are the people, and so
But like, I
mhm,
think even just what you're saying there, I think that's
mhm,
what's such a beautiful testimony of what it looks like to live with one another. Like,
uh-huh,
that's where we didn't hide stuff, even when
mm-mm,
it was really hard,
mhm,
it's really hard walking.
mhm,
It's hard for those of us who like you're saying, have to witness it.
mhm,
You have to witness someone else's suffering, and you
right,
can't do anything about it. You can't fix it. You want to, you
mhm,
want to do something. You want to make this stop. And
mhm.
sometimes,
But y'all didn't run,
well,
and you stayed, and that it is hard to watch people suffer.
yeah, it
It's
is.
it's hard to watch a man go from 165 pounds to 117.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch a man with a full hair of head
Mm,
and then not have any hair.
yeah.
To be able to walk and enjoy life, and then to hardly be able to walk at all.
Yeah.
So, and uh, you weren't afraid of that.
Whew.
And I just want to invite people to not run away from it, not run away, not tell somebody who's lost their child or their spouse to get over it or whatever,
Yeah.
but to hold the capacity. You don't have to make them okay, but to hold the space for them to say, "I'm with you.
Yeah.
God is with you. I'm with you. I'll hold the space.
And
I'll
that's
weep
something.
with you and cry with you.
Yes.
I will laugh with you."
Yeah.
And I think we've had all of that.
Yeah.
We've laughed, we've cried.
Yeah.
We've had all of it.
And I think that's the testimony of like true, I mean, I want to say it's like biblical community. It's like where it's like really Acts 2 living, where
Mhm.
I mean, we prayed for miracles and we
Oh yeah,
saw
we did.
some. I mean,
Mhm.
there was,
We did.
he,
Mhm.
like when I look at the way he lived out those last years and how many there were even,
Mhm.
it was, we prayed and we believed. And then we were also, I think, able to surrender to like a true,
Mhm.
you really truly got the release of God of like, no, I'm choosing.
Mhm.
I hear your prayers
Mhm.
and I am choosing to bring him home. It's,
Mhm.
I want him. And you surrendered to that.
And I honestly believe that he's much more powerful
Hmm.
um, with Jesus in praying for us
Yeah.
than he was down here on this earth.
And I think that's actually something we don't even talk about much in the church, but like how the saints
Mhm.
actually, the saints, not
Mhm.
meaning like
Right.
Saint Augustine,
Right.
all of them,
All of
Saint
them.
Bill,
Yeah.
um, actually is in heaven
Hmm.
interceding
Right.
on our behalf.
Yes.
Like blow
Hmm.
some minds there. Like
Right.
the actual theology of
Mhm.
understanding, like this is a temporary separation.
Mhm.
Also,
Right.
it feels
Mhm.
horrible.
Right.
It feels like it will never end, and yet we know that it
Mhm.
does.
Yeah.
The reunion,
Right. And
how
I
sweet.
actually, I mean, he anointed me basically the Christmas before March 17th when he went to be with Jesus with 7 letters of of just basically, I'm handing you over. I'm handing the helmet over to you. You've got this, Laurie. Now go sparkle. Go sparkle.
Yeah.
Go bring light
Yeah.
to the world. And I received the call. I received the
Yeah, you
call.
did.
And so that's what I want to do. I want to I'll never love like he did. Like he's just so amazing.
He's
But I will
amazing.
love the way God made me
Yeah.
to love.
Oh, Laurie. Laurie loves she walks in and it's like the mama. She's like the mama in the room to everyone, but at the same time, like with this love and like people's, your story just unfolds. Like people just like fall, just all the words come out. But also, I have watched her with men. And I mean, they are like, she doesn't put up with anything. And it was like, I mean, they respected you, I think, more than Bill. It was like, okay, whatever she says. This little lady, she is a force, and she is so spirit-filled and directed in her work with people. It's an art, honestly. Watching you work is an art.
Thank
It
you.
is just
I feel
beautiful.
the same way.
I love doing it together.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe we should do that
Maybe
again.
we should do it together again.
Do it and bring it in.
Yeah.
Like, bring it home.
Well, I think we've both felt this call to oneness and this
Well, that's the depth. That's the difference between just doing counseling, and then taking them into the places of healing and bringing Jesus in.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And that's the thing is like God led us there ourselves first.
Right.
Like he led you, he led me. And you can't lead someone obviously somewhere where you've not been, but it became this like deeper heart cry. Like I want more for you than just to understand your strategies.
Right.
I want you to know what this feels like literally the God that lives within you. I think this has been so revelatory to me. And I know this is like, it sounds preschool. And I actually think some of the deepest revelation is like preschool, like where it's like we've heard so much of this, and yet when we like the revelation where you're like, aha, like it actually sinks in, and because I've been integrating so much of this somatic work in it, and I'm like, Lord, why have you led me into this world and of the body? Like why? And then it occurs to me like a preschooler. Because the body is where the Spirit of God dwells.
Yes, the temple.
The body is the temple of God now. Like this vessel right here, this flesh and bone, this the frail one that we, said goodbye to with Bill, like that body is the temple of God. Like it's where the Spirit dwells. So would it not make sense that the enemy causes wounds and, put the word trauma on it, whatever it is, what causes us to then separate from the temple? We dissociate. That's what you said. We disconnect from ourselves. We leave ourselves because it hurt too much. And like well played strategy, enemy, because you know exactly, because it disconnects us not just from ourselves, but literally from the
God.
presence of God that dwells within us.
Oh, that's so good.
Isn't
That's
it?
right.
And I was
That's so
like,
good.
again, not my revelation. Well, it was my revelation that happened to me, but God had to be like a child. Like, okay, little one, let me, here's a fun fact for you. But then causing so rejoining our bodies. So we get to be the temple, but then how do we rejoin like in oneness with the actual living, breathing, like presence of God in our being and spending, that's a whole other podcast we could do, but to actually go inward and commune with him. I'm not praying anymore out here waiting for him to like drop or show up. And it breaks my heart to see so much of the church. Like, I don't hear from God. I wish I did. Like, where is he? Because they're looking for him out there and he's within.
He's knocking.
Yeah.
And he's very invitational. And it's for us to say, come in.
Yes.
Come in. But some of my strategies of protection had to say yes to coming in to Jesus too, because they were pretty on their own.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a great story about my fighter, but my fighter is now talking to Jesus and saying, hey, there's a problem down here. And so then God's mighty sword is fighting instead of the fighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even like
Mhm.
just to touch on that, Laurie, like
Mhm.
I think that's such a profound. I remember I think it was you that taught me this.
Mhm.
It was you that taught me this. Now, yeah. That those small parts of you, though like adult Laurie
Mhm.
loves Jesus, believes in
Right.
him, full and like full
Mhm.
of faith, those little parts may not.
They believe they're on their own
Yeah.
because that's where they started. They started in the child consciousness that they were on their own. And so, like my fighter, she had two older brothers that fought all the time. And then, and,
Did they
and
fight with her?
well, I would be in the middle. I'd sit in the car
Okay.
in the middle and they would be fighting over
Oh,
me.
okay.
And, but then I was in this field and this boy came up to me and said, "There is no God." And I'm like, "There is to a God." And I didn't really know God, but I said there was. And so he said, "Well, I'm an atheist." And I didn't know what an atheist. I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "I don't believe in God." And I got in a fist fight with him, you know? So
That makes so much sense for you. Oh my God.
so then
Oh
when
my gosh.
when Bill was going through something, and I'd been prayed over once, and the gal said, "Hey, Laurie, you have this mighty sword, but there's a sheath over it." And I was
Mm.
like, "Okay." And then Bill and I were at this restaurant. He had been treated poorly by some people, and my fighter came up, and Bill looked at me and said, "Laurie, you have so much anger that I don't have any space for mine." And I was like,
Whoa.
"Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Okay, okay. I have a fighter part strategy
Mm-hmm.
that's driving the bus." And so now my fighter is in God's arms
Yeah.
and she's probably tattooed and, wears leather. I don't know. It's good to give them a little image.
Fully tatted up. I love
And
it.
so, but she now looks up at God and says, "See that injustice over there? See that thing that's not okay?" um, that's where we gotta pray, God. We gotta fight for this in prayer, and that's God's mighty sword that
Yeah.
goes and fights and does the battle
On your
um, on my behalf.
Yeah.
And so she can rest because
Yeah.
Jesus is telling him,
Yeah.
what's going on.
Oh, Laurie, it's so
Yeah.
good. And it's inviting. I mean, that kind of
Hmm.
circles back to what we talked about. It's like that is part of even the correction of being able to invite, like asking that little part, like, are you willing for Jesus to step in here
Hmm.
and to join you? Because you
Right.
actually have to ask.
Yeah.
He doesn't force himself.
Mm-mm.
And so and when those little parts say yes, sometimes they say no.
Sometimes they say no.
They say no.
Well, but that's usually because
Yeah.
there's a younger child that has not been protected or is still stuck back there in that wounded
Yeah.
place that we need to go and rescue. Yeah.
And this is like the beautiful joy of like the complexity of us as humans, yeah,
Mhm.
but also the joy. Like we were designed to heal.
Mhm.
He literally created us to heal, and he is the healer. And we're not meant
Right.
to do this on our own.
No.
And I think that's where there's such a beauty in, yes, the field of counseling and like this literally the presence of Jesus coming in and infusing what we know to be true about the
Right.
brain and relationships and how we work, and you watch him come in and actually heal at the
Mm.
deep layers of
That's
us.
right.
And it's you and I
Mhm.
sit here because we're testimonies of like he really does heal.
Yeah.
Like, and he rescues you. Like
Mhm.
I had this vision the other day of like being on the bottom. It was one of my little parts who was
Mhm.
like crying out. She was really scared. And it was like she finally surrendered and she
Mhm.
was at the bottom of this pit. And it was just like she wasn't fighting it anymore. She wasn't trying to like
Mhm.
figure her way out of it. And she
Right.
just surrendered. And I
Mm.
realized for the first time what rescue felt like.
Mm.
Where like you actually give up. You
Mhm.
actually surrender.
Mhm.
And that's the rest you're talking about, by the
Mhm.
way.
The letting go, the
That
surrender.
serenity that
Yeah.
comes with it
Mhm.
feels weak and it yet is the most powerful action I think we can
Mhm.
take. And then it was like Jesus could actually then come and rescue her because she wasn't trying to do it on her own.
Mhm.
And And I just pray that over all of you, that you will know the rescuer, that you will know him as restorer, that you will know him as friend. And like, let our stories be ones that just lead you closer because he's there waiting.
That's right.
Laurie, I love you.
I love you too.
You are a treasure in my life.
I'm back at you, girl. You're just a joy.
You're such a gift.
I mean, I can't wait till we can just talk forever. In
I know.
eternity.
I know.
You know,
There's no more like schedules or
No more
stuff or
schedules
like,
and-
like different houses,
Yeah.
you know? Maybe ours will be beside each other. That'd be so great. So I pray that over you. I pray it leaves you with a curiosity of like, what's next for you? Because there are next steps. Like, he doesn't just leave you here and drop some information in your left side of your brain. It's because he's leading you towards something. So I pray if the next step is revealed to you as you take it, that you trust him and that you find your way home.
All the